All right. That's practice the training which we are to have right about now. Um, so let's get started. The listening test, the IELTS test that assesses your ability to English speakers via an audio and also provide the information or answers. During your listening test, you are expected to do three things at this. During your listening test, you are expected to read, you are expected to write. Or fail to do any of these, then answer. Now, how does this when you are giving your listening test question booklet, you then like section 1, you would hear a conversation between a clerk and find out some information or try to get some information about accommodation. 1 to 5. So when the audio tells you that, now what do you read? First, you need to read the words your answer should come. Because if a section says you should the instruction and you're writing 2 or 3 words, automatically everything you have written under that section will be incorrect. So first, you need answer should come. Second, you need to read the questions under that particular section. Now, why do you need to read the questions? It's important to actually go through the words in every question. Those keywords in every question will most likely be paraphrased by the audio. Audio will never read a question exactly the same way it's written on the question booklet. That's not possible. So if you read a question and you're expecting to hear the same thing you have read, then you will not know when the answer will be said. That is the end of your section 1. Whereas you've been waiting to hear what is written on the question. So audio expects you to read the questions before it begins to play. So you would identify the keywords in the questions and get the end of your reading of the questions under that particular section, the audio will begin to play. When the audio begins to play, you are expected to listen. Because you are not just supposed to listen alone, you're also supposed to follow where the audio is written. So you need to read with your eyes. Right. You don't need to hold on or wait until the audio ends before you begin to write. You most likely forget everything you've read. So you need to write as you hear your answer. And you must be very fast because the audio will not pause for you to write before it continues. So once you hear it, quickly write and continue to listen. These 3 things whenever you're taking on your listening test. Read. Now, during your listening test, you are most likely going to have a challenges, so to say. If you are not a native English speaker or you are not an English, not a native English speaker, then it's totally different from someone who does English. Battle with be of the audio by a native speaker, enunciation, speaking pace, the speaker in the audio, and accent. These are the major things people, in a way, battle with. The way non-native English speakers pronounce words is totally different from theirs. So if you are not so conversant with the way the native speakers pronounce certain words or their words, then you would most likely words you've heard for another. Right? So you need to work on a lot of listening practices to get used to their pronunciations. Then enunciation. Enunciation, in a way, implies how they modulate their voices and hit syllables while they are pronouncing words. So you want to also get used to all of that so that it will help you to be very sure of the words you've heard, especially for the fact that you need to spell on your own. So when you hear the right words, you are able to spell the right pace. IELTS audio by well-exposed native speakers or people who have naturalized in an English environment. So when you listen to them, the way they speak is totally different. The fast, how fast they speak, or how slowly or sluggishly they speak. So if you are not in tune with that, you will definitely get lost. You might not know where they are treating at some point. So the speaking pace also affects test takers during their listening test. And then lastly, we have accent. Accent. The native English speakers have their own accent. So the way they pronounce their words, there are accents that they have accents being applied during their pronunciation and speaking generally. So these are things you want to really work on and improve on them. Now, during your listening test, we have fashioned out these important keys, which we call the 3 T's. These 3 T's are the trick, also known as the bracket trick, then tips, and then lastly, we have techniques. These are the 3 T's that will help you to have better performance during your speaking test, your listening test. So let's understand how these guys play out. First, we are going to take on the trick. What does this bracket trick mean? What does it mean? It is the practice of putting in brackets a part of your answer that you are not so sure about. In brackets, a part of your answer that you are not so sure about. Now, what does this mean? You might hear a word be plural. So if you write the singular version, whereas the intended spelling of that word is supposed to be in plural, your answer will be incorrect. It's possible that what will make it incorrect is because you didn't add S at the end of the word. Now, it's also possible that a word will be pronounced lost. They fail to provide just a letter to make the word plural. Now, how do we then apply this bracket trick? Works hand in glove. Now, what instructions do you listening test? It's this template, no more than one word and or a number. Now, how does this play out? When you find this more than one word and or a number, what does it mean? How would you interpret it?
Single word. But a number might be confusing because 10 is not 10. It's not, we would call it a number. There are two figures. There are three figures. 5,000, there are four figures. So, which one, if we say 5,000 is not a number. 1,200 is not a number.
Okay. Before we go on to this, just to clear your little concern, I would want to ask how many numbers do we have here? How many numbers do we have?
7 numbers.
7 numbers.
6 zeros.
7 numbers.
Yeah. That is 7 figures.
7 digits, you mean?
Yeah.
7 digits.
Yeah.
Okay. But how many numbers do we have here?
7.
7. Okay. Well, we just have a number here. This is a number with 7 digits. 10 is a number with 2 digits. 300, 1,000 represents just a particular number with 4 digits. I believe it's clear now.
Yeah, they didn't say
They are not referring to,
figure.
they are referring to the number, the representation itself. Just the way number 1 represents 1. That's the way number 1,000,000 represents just one number. But it has
7.
digits. So, how do we interpret when you find it? Because one of the major things that fail or make people's answers to go wrong is ability. What does it mean? No more than one word and or a number means your answer can be just a one-word answer and answer. That's one word still having a number either before. Now this instruction also means that your answer can just be a number without even a word. A section that says no more than 2 words a number. How do you interpret this guy? No more than 2 words and a number. It simply means your 2 sisters,
2 brothers.
2 brothers. So the 2, is it in figure or in word?
One will use words to describe it.
Okay. Then you have written 1 word and 1 number.
Yeah.
If you just use the word version, you have written 2 words. So this instruction is saying your answer, whatever you're going to write as your answer, however, it doesn't mean that your answer words all through under that one word and it's perfect. But the emphasis is it also means that your answer can be the number answer. It can be just a the audio. If you hear a word question, just that one word is okay. Not compel you to write two words or 3. About a section that would say 3 words or a number. What does that mean?
Your numbers are limited to and one word
Can be 1 word answer. It can be 1 word and a number. It can be 2 words. It can be 2 words and a number. It can be 3 words. 3 words and a word. Now, these are the different interpretations in your listening test. Even in reading test, the same thing applies. Questions to understand what the instruction requires, and then you interpret appropriately. So these are appropriately is one step in the right direction towards having a good performance. Because once you write answers that are the number of words, automatically everything under that section is wrong. Okay, so let's now begin. How to interpret a question instruction. How do we apply the bracket trick when we are treating a section that says no?
Sorry, sir, why do you call it bracket trick?
Because
There is a word trick there. What do you mean by bracket?
yes, the trick is called a bracket trick. Now, because the trick has to do with use bracket part of the word or certain words that you found or you feel is maybe correct, but you're not very sure. Test taker, yes. The person writing, taking the exam. Let me explain it. Perhaps you will understand better. So I'm going to run a little model of maybe an extract of an audio. So I would expect that you would listen attentively and give me your answer. To catch enough sleep. First, you have some time to read questions. Hello, Janet. How are you? Well, I'm very well. You're not looking bright. What's the problem? Well, I've not been catching enough sleep. Some birds came around the tree beside the window to my bedroom, and they've been housing there at night. They make a lot of noise, singing around it, and it's pretty difficult to catch enough sleep. And of course, it's actually affecting my work at the office. But then, at some point, I got to realize I had to go to the window to observe what they do on the tree. And of course, I noticed something quite remarkable about the birds. I realized their nest. And apart from that, now the audio has faded. Now, my question. According to Janet, the birds usually collaborate to construct their their nest. Perfect.
I use my brain to mention the nest.
You didn't hear it?
I didn't hear you speak the nest.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
I just hit to my brain.
You didn't even hear the nest.
I didn't hear the word nest.
All right. So
While listening to you, the word nest.
you didn't hear it. That's the way the audio goes. And remember, the audio is never played twice.
Hey, wow.
So if you didn't pay attention,
this is a problem then.
it's gone.
It's a problem.
Okay. Now, your answer, according to you, is nest. According to Janet, the birds usually collaborate to build their nest. Now, when you write this, you may be correct. You may also be incorrect. Do you know why? Because from the sentence structure, what it says is the birds usually collaborate to build their nest. The birds, plural, nest here, singular. So this may be correct. Or how can this be correct? It may be correct because if their nest is building a big nest for all of the teaming up, everybody contributing to build a big nest. Concept is on the tree is incorrect. You might be right, you might be wrong. When you write this also, you might be correct.
Okay, bracket.
So,
Bracket
all right. So the bracket trick says to stay safe, put your S here in bracket.
Okay, that's the bracket.
So what does it do for you? In case they want it, you are good. The S is in brackets, so examiner will ignore it because it's optional. The bracket makes it optional.
Does it apply in all cases?
Yes, in IELTS.
In all cases?
Yes, in
When you're not
IELTS.
too sure.
In IELTS, yes. So this makes your answer singular because the S is in brackets. Exactly. Figured out to be the correct answer is the plural version. It's perfect as well.
One is at the fence with this
Bracket.
With this bracket.
Yeah. One word. I don't know if this is clear.
The seminar
So that's how the bracket trick works. So whether it to be in singular, it's correct. Okay. So when you are treating listening test, a couple of questions that may be referring or talking about now officially or formally, how do we express date of birth? You might see some date of birth. The template would require DD, MM, YY, DD, YYY. Then some will specifically say your Y first, and your DD next.
the first one, the second one, American is used American.
Okay.
Then English used the first. I don't know.
It's optional. Some just so it depends.
The American form.
Okay, now you might hear something like, "Oh no, I'm calling from Washington D.C." Registrations, please. Yes, you are. Before we continue, we'd like to. Oh, my name is McDonald Rouge. Rouge. How do you spell Rouge, please? On the question paper, there'll be McDonald. Make a note of that. Then the person will spell Rouge.
And to listen to the words.
Okay, well, we'll get to that point.
As
Spelling.
those things, you don't pick right. And those words they spell are usually the answers
Of course.
to the question.
Very well. That's why they are spelling it, because it's not a popular English name, or it's not even an English name. So they have to spell it. The person that is taking a call, you are meant to write. So when you write the name, say something like, okay, so next I would like to born. And the person will say, oh, I was September the 10th. So the person just says September. Okay, when you hear this from the audio, you won't be correct.
Yeah.
What's the problem?
Yeah. Sorry, can I?
Yes, please. Oh, okay. So we are doing according to what you've said. So you now have 10. Right. This is cool. Very nice. Now, how sure are you that this guy is neat?
When you remove the invariably, that TH up.
Invariably.
Invariably. You can't write September and leave it there. You must qualify.
Which will help you to have better choices, better applications, and better performance in your listening test. So let's get to note down some of the tips. I'll dictate the tips. So here are some of the tips for writing the listening test. Tip number 1. Read the instruction before starting any section. Tip number 2. Identify the number of words. Identify the number of words stipulated in the instruction. Tip number 3. Read the questions before the audio begins to play.
They don't give enough time for one to do the question.
Just
They're giving you the thing, they only explain. They don't give you up to minutes. And the time giving you to read is usually not up to minutes.
yes, it's not up to around 40 seconds or thereabout. So with constant practice, you understand and improve on reading speed. But these things are very important for you to do before you start the listening test proper. Okay, next tip, write your answers while the audio is playing. Next tip, feel free to write up to 2 potential answers beside the question being treated. Feel free to write up to 2 potential answers beside the question being treated, but feel free to write up to 2 potential answers beside the question being treated, but ensure to transfer the more appropriate one. Next tip. Endeavor to transfer all your answers to your answer sheet accurately. Endeavor to transfer all your answers to your answer sheet accurately. Next tip. Remember that IELTS is also testing your spelling skills. Therefore, always write all your answers in full. Next tip, never pause your concentration.
Pause.
Never pause. Yes, P-A-U-S-E, pause. Never pause your concentration. Never pause your concentration just to think of an answer you have missed. Never pause your concentration to think of an answer you have missed. Rather, proceed to the next question. Should you miss any answer? Next tip. If your punctuation skills and knowledge aren't good enough, if your punctuation skills and knowledge aren't good enough, then write all your answers in block letters.
I don't understand this.
Okay, we shall look at that. Last tip there. Avoid leaving any answer, avoid leaving any question unanswered. Avoid leaving any question unanswered.
If you miss an answer, don't pause. Then when you miss an answer, how will you address answer you miss?
It is better to guess
Yes, and put something.
instead of just leaving
Will
it.
that guess give you
You might guess right. Like you guessed nest and got it.
Okay.
So IELTS does not engage or indulge in negative marking. So it is whatever you get that you get. They don't subtract because you have for a wrong answer. No. So that's why you can guess and guess right. So it's safer for you. All right. So the tip number 9, it says if your punctuation skills and knowledge aren't good enough, you should write all your answers in block letter. What does this mean? If I ask, please, what do you understand by punctuation? What would you say? What do you think punctuation is all about?
Punctuation, putting the right, crossing your T's and dotting your I's.
Okay, that's what punctuation means. Well, it's just a part of it, not the absolute definition of punctuation. Punctuation means
Comma,
the marks,
question mark.
the marks, and it also means your ability to recognize proper nouns and punctuate them appropriately. What are proper nouns? For instance, how do we begin any month of the year? That's punctuation. When you are writing the name of a person, punctuation. When you are writing the days of the week, capital, punctuation. When you are writing the name of a country, capital, punctuation. When you are beginning a sentence, the first word must be in capital. That's punctuation. When you are writing a word or a noun in the middle or at the end or at the beginning of any sentence, the first letter.
Will you say write capital and hang the leg off?
Okay. When you are treating superscript questions, you are expected to still write your answers in
Capital.
the superscripts. Write them in capital. You have nothing to
Lose.
so, I don't know if you understand.
Okay.
Alright, so that's it about the tips. Let's now go to techniques. Okay, so let's go to the last section of the important keys. This is techniques. Now, what we are going to look at under techniques is the paraphrase. We already know what paraphrasing means. The practice of substituting keywords using their synonyms or phrases in ways that they still retain the same meaning. Now, in your listening test, there is so much paraphrasing, so much by the audio. And this is the major reason a lot of test takers don't even get to know when answers are said. Because they expect that the audio would read the questions before saying the answers exactly the way the questions are written. Whereas audio will never do that. Audio will find a way of rephrasing the same question. Right? So let's try to understand how this guy works out. Words. How does the audio paraphrase words to figures? Maybe you might hear something about um okay, so here about techniques, we are looking at paraphrasing. That ways audio will change the words, the questions you've read by using synonyms or phrases that still interpret the same thing as what's written on the question paper. And of course, most people who read the question expect the audio to read the question the way they are written on the question paper, but audio will never do that. Audio will find a way of rephrasing or restating the same information while it gives the answer. So here is a practical example of how the audio can paraphrase information written or questions written in words to figures. Here, we have a question that says, every day, the youth runs a jingle, the government runs a jingle to dash youths about illegal activities on the internet space. Now, when the audio wants to treat this question, it might say, as a way of, in a quest to help the youth come out of certain things, the authorities on a daily basis actually rolls out a short clip to enlighten the young adults about certain cyber crimes they commit.
The order is enlightened.
The answer is enlightened.
Though you didn't mention sensitize, though you didn't mention orientation, orientation goes,
So,
sensitize goes, enlightenment goes.
So here, the authorities, daily basis, short clips, young adults, cybercrime. Cybercrime has to do with illegal activities on the internet.
Yeah.
So the audio will never read questions just
Exactly.
the way they are written.
And there is limited time
And
to comprehend this.
that's why they give you
That is wickedness.
time.
That is wickedness. If it is summary, you read something, they ask you to summarize. You are reading that thing, and you are fashioning out a way to do. But this one, they wrote a different thing, and they expect you to paraphrase it within a short time frame.
Okay, now what? Let's understand how this can be achieved. How can this be achieved? When the question says, first you have some time to read questions 1 to 5, then you quickly go through every day the government agenda. So what will you identify as keywords that can be paraphrased?
Everyday government, Django,
runs, use, illegal activities on the internet.
Almost everything.
Almost everything. So you are not reading to understand. You're actually reading to see the keywords there so that when the audio begins to play, you are aware of the words in the question. So that even if they paraphrase it, you also catch. So here, in a bid to actually reduce crime in a society, the authorities on a daily basis rolls out some short bid to enlighten young adults about the cybercrime. So they just want to see how you are able to understand the English. Right? So that's how it can go from words to figures. So here it could be on 24 hours basis. So 24 hours basis represents every day. Right? Then it might also be figures to words if it talks about 4 weeks. This is equivalent to what?
1 month. Monthly.
So your question has 4 weeks, but the audio will not say 4 weeks. Audio will say 1 month. So those are ways the audio can paraphrase what is written as questions into substitute ways of expressing these same questions. Now, words or figures to fractions. When you have something about a quarter or 1/4,
by annually, by monthly.
A quarter means what? A quarter means
1/4 of a particular thing.
1/4
Of a particular thing.
1/4
Of a particular thing.
of a particular thing. Then in percentage, the quarter can be expressed in percentage as what?
0.25.
25%. 100. The whole 100%.
Yeah.
So a quarter of it, 25%. Now another question might say half of an entire. Half of an entire can be paraphrased in fraction as what?
1/2.
1/2,
50%.
2/4, and this can be
50%.
50%. So when you have expressions like that, please prepare your mind for possible ways IELTS can paraphrase them. Because when you don't realize that the audio is already treating this question because they are paraphrasing it, that means automatically you won't even know when answers. So that's where it becomes a problem. And once you are not able to get certain answers, especially from the beginning, and you hear that is the end of section 1, it takes the grace of God for you to pick up.
Yeah.
Because you'll be so disorganized. Alright? And disappointed in oneself. Okay, now let's go to the last part. Paraphrasing words or figures to general terminology. So let's look at these few expressions. Okay. So let's look at these lists of expressions and find out alternative or substitute ways the audio can express them.
Let me try and skip the ones I don't know.
Okay, every day can be expressed as what?
Daily.
Daily as word or 24 hours, right?
Okay, weekly.
Weekly as word or 7 days. Every 2 weeks?
Fortnightly.
Okay, it can be
Bi-weekly.
bi-weekly or
Fortnightly.
every fortnight. Monthly
Monthly.
or every
4
4
weeks.
weeks. Every 3 months?
Quarterly.
Quarterly. Every 6 months?
Half yearly.
Annually. Every year?
Yearly.
Yearly.
Or annually.
Or annually. Every 2 years?
Perennially.
Every 2 years is biannually.
Biannual. What of perennially?
That's 3 years. 3 years or more. 3 years.
Biennially.
Biannually.
Okay.
Biannually.
Pere is 3.
3 and above.
Okay.
3 and above. Nearly 25. How might we express something that is nearly 25? About
Okay.
2 dozens.
About 2 dozens. 20 is score.
20 is
Score.
score of individuals. 25 years. Silver
Jubilee.
50 years.
Golden Jubilee.
Years of existence.
Decade. A decade.
A decade. 30 years. 3
decades.
decades. 100 years.
Century.
A century. 1,000 years.
A millennium. Right, you might want to note down these guys in case. Not in this one.
Are you okay with
I'm
that?
okay with it.
All right, perfect.
Though we have silver, we have diamond jubilee, and we have platinum jubilee. So some years above 50, 60, 75 diamond, then the other one platinum.
That's 100.
Yeah.
100.
But you qualify with the anniversary. If you don't qualify with the anniversary, it goes to a century.
Okay.
Sorry, let me ease myself.
All right. Okay, so let's get started. First, let's work on the 4 sections of the listening test. Of course, your listening test lasts for about 40 minutes, and there are 40 questions. Each question carries 1 mark, and there are 4 sections of the listening test. Each section has about 10 questions. Section 1 of the listening test is often a dialogue. And about 85% of the dialogue that you listen to in section 1 comes via telephone call, where someone would phone in either to make inquiries or lodge a complaint or report a situation. So during the dialogue, these are potential answers you should look out for. But first, let's understand what is a dialogue. What do you think a dialogue is?
You have 2 persons are discussing to have a common agreement.
Okay. So dialogues are conversations between 2 persons or 2 parties.
2 parties.
Now, here, during your section 1, you would, if name is required to be a part of your answers, you will see that on the question paper, it may be the number 1 answer. You see a name written and then dash beside it. The first name will be written, then the second name will not be written. But when the person calls, it will be required for the person to, or the person to give the full name. So when the person is giving the full name, the person will begin from the one that is already written on the question, and I say the other name does not give it. Now when that name does not give it is said, if it is a popular English name, for instance, Robert, Michael, John, if they are popular English names, nobody will spell them. But if they are unpopular, or they are non-English names, they will be spelled. During the spellings, there are letters you should look out for. A-E-I-R-W. A-E-I-R-W. These letters, people always mistake the way they are being called or pronounced for another letter. A. You won't always hear A by the native speakers. You might hear R.
What?
R.
R.
R. R. R. R. So it sounds like letter I. That's R. 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 People write letter R instead of R. For instance, you must have written A, or you must have written I for Helen because of R. Now the next one is E. You will hear E. Please write it as E. When you hear this, it sounds R. 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 It's not O-I, it is I. When you hear this guy, we call it R here, but they call it R. R.
R.
R.
R.
It doesn't, the vibration doesn't come out. So you hear R. R. It is R.
This one is clearer than the A and E and R.
Are you heard?
Yeah.
I
can identify R.
Okay.
But A, E, and I is still confusing.
R. R.
It's still confusing.
R. R. R.
R. I can identify R.
R. R. R. Then R. R. R.
Hey.
For R. For A, it is R. 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 When they say R, they drop.
Okay.
R. They drop.
Okay.
If it is I, you hear R.
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 R. like OI.
Yeah.
Then this guy will give you W. People write U. You know we have
sound the W.
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 W. W. It's different from letter U. So when you hear W, do not write U.
Twice.
It is the U that composes W.
The double. Okay, U. Hey, English.
So that's
double
what constitutes
U.
We call it double.
Hey! No! No, I can't understand why the word is like that. It's double U. Okay, double U.
U put
Together.
U.
Double U English.
We call it W. It is still the same thing as pronouncing.
W.
But we now bring in L-E, W.
U, yeah.
So when they don't do W,
Yeah, double
so they call it double U. So please, always look out for these guys. And there is another secret when an answer is being spelled. The secret is this. When a word is being spelled as the answer, after the spelling is completed, the receiver of the call that needs that will repeat that word, sometimes twice. The repetition is deliberate for you to look at what you spelled and
correct it. Yeah.
So please, always don't miss that answer for anything that
one is a bonus.
Is a bonus.
But this accent is what that will confuse somebody.
Then the pronunciation will also verify your spelling.
Okay.
Then the next thing is telephone.
That one is long as well.
Telephone is fast. The numbers are called out very fast. But you need to follow as the digits are being given.
But they won't repeat the telephone.
No.
They will just call it once.
But you must have seen that telephone number is required. So get prepared between number 0 to 9. That's what you do.
Yeah.
But the thing is, on the question paper, sometimes you would see that the first 4 digits of the cell phone number is written on the question paper.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If you notice that, please don't repeat those numbers again when you are writing on your answer. You are to continue from after the last digit.
Then that will not make a complete phone number.
You are still using the mathematical. They are going to copy what you have written to complete.
I'll fix it. Okay.
So if you copy what is here and they copy and put,
to multiply the numbers.
That's the idea. That's the concept you should use.
Okay.
So please, if there are first 4 or first 3 or first 5 digits, all you need to do is listen attentively to see or observe if the person is repeating the same digits on. Alright. Date of birth, we treated that.
Yeah.
The bracket 3, don't forget.
That's okay.
No need.
No needs. Okay.
It's not required. Just the month and
But
the date.
if they mention it, income.
Don't write it. Just
because
the month.
The instruction has been given.
Yes.
Not more than
1 word in most cases. Where date of birth appears, section 1.
Yeah.
Mostly it's just 1 word answer. Section 1, most times. 1 word answer. Okay. Address. On your question paper, you will also notice that the address is written.
Yeah.
But in between the address, there will be an omission. So it could be the code, street name, or street number. So what you need to do is to listen and write whatever that is said on the audio. Nationality. You need to also know different nationalities. You need to know how to spell the different nationalities of countries in the world. Because nobody spells nationality, no matter the country.
Nigerian and Nigerian. Nigerian and Nigerian.
Nigerian and Nigerian. Nigerian and Nigerian.
Ghanaian and Togolese.
Uh-huh. So what's the difference between Nigerian and Nigerian?
The first one, we are the one. The next one is people of Nigeria Republic.
How do we spell Nigerian?
Well, Niger, Nigeria. then I-E-N.
Please write.
Okay, let me spell Nigeria. Let us write Nigeria first. Nigeria. So, in the other one now, instead of A, E is in their own.
All right, correct. So that's the difference.
Yeah.
A person from Togo,
Togolese.
a person from Senegal,
Senegalese.
a person from Chad,
Chadian.
a person from Cameroon,
Cameroonian.
a person from Ivory Coast,
Ivorian.
a person from Cote d'Ivoire.
Tell me that one. It's not
still Ivorian.
Ivorian, okay.
Cote d'Ivoire is the French version.
Okay.
Ivory Coast is the English version.
Okay.
A person from Kenya,
Is a Kenyan.
a person from Ethiopia,
Ethiopian.
a person from Burkina Faso,
Burkina.
a person from Egypt,
Egyptian.
a person from the USA,
American.
a person from the UK,
British.
a person from England,
English.
a person from Morocco,
Moroccan.
Mexico,
Mexican.
Jericho,
Jericho is not a country. It's a capital of a place. Excuse me, sir. What amazing, sir. Hello, Chairman. Hello? Hello? Hello, if you can hear me, I'm in a class. I'll call you back later. Please. Okay, it's all right, thank you. Okay, why did you laugh? Jericho is not a country.
I wanted to test whether you call it Jericho.
But it's not a country.
Yes. Okay, so let's continue. So it is important you know those nationalities and their spellings. In IELTS, if nationality is required to be part of your answers, the person will just say his or her nationality. You'll be the one to spell. So if you're not even aware of the nationality, you won't even know the spelling.
But sir, why will in America, we have North and South America. In North America, we have three principal countries, Mexico, Canada, and the United States of America. Why would somebody from USA claim to be an American ahead of all other American countries, even Brazil, Argentina, Chile, Paraguay, Peru, Uruguay, and the rest of them? We have North and South America. Somebody from the United States will not claim an American. The rest, what are they?
Well, I'll record it. I'll not say anything.
It's all right.
Okay. They will go resolve their problem.
Okay, thank you.
Now, you may also get to hear or see or read a question that requires the caller to express his or her interest. Why is the person calling? Is it to take up a temporary job? Is it for accommodation? Is it for admission into a particular school? Is it to take part in an excursion? Or is it to be a tour guide? Whatever it is, the person will express his or her interest. Then, what's the cost? If it's a temporary job, is there any financial implication or stipend that is to be paid? Will they be given any form of remuneration? They will establish that. If it's about transport schedule, they want to know the cost at different schedules. If it's about accommodation, they talk about the cost, whatever it is. Then time or period. What are the different times according to what the person is making inquiries for? So you have to listen attentively and provide the information. Then the person wants to take part or job role in the past.
If he wants to be a top,
someone that will take people around.
Okay.
Someone that is very much familiar with the tour tall guy.
Tourist. Okay, tall guy.
Tall guy. Then, what's the quantity? It may require to talk to people, maybe that to participate in the program or whatever it is. You don't just talk to yourself. So you are so you require the when you are talking to yourself. But if it's a monologue, there must be audience. A presentation or giving a talk to a people. Now, during such expression or such sections, nouns. These nouns here could be name of a person, renowned researcher and inventor. It could also be the name of an environment, a location where something was first founded or recorded or experienced. It could be the name of so whatever it is, the are expressing the name of whatever situation that they want to talk about. Then location, where exactly? Where was that thing recorded? And what is it actually about the situation? What is it? What is it? Something that is epidemic? Is it something that is harmful? So they will talk about it and give some characteristics or features of that thing. And then what year? Is it? So they will talk if it's part of the answer. Or how long will it last? Duration. Affected by such outbreak. But how many people will benefit from whatever thing that is being talked about? Maybe it's a government project. So they talk about the number. What is the cost implication? It will talk about the cost. If it is a trip, it will talk about the cost. If it is an innovation for people to obtain or have made their answer. What led to it? What led to that particular thing? Maybe invention or outbreak or situation or benefit. Now, what's the effect? Effect of that thing either to the person or plans or maps. This is one of the listening tests that gives a lot of people map reading. On every map, what we call the compass, cardinal points. Now, points. The cardinal points may not be labeled on the map. It's better that you should place these cardinal points on the map yourself. Just in front of you. Where would you consider to be the north?
The top.
Then the south. Then the right.
East.
And
your left.
Perfect.
East.
Now, that you should not forget is that audio will always tell you the starting point. On the map, audio will tell you where to enter from, where to come in from. So if the audio says to build for students to have a timeout after a day's passo, you are by going in through the main entrance on the north. And as you walk, before you get to the center of the park, take a right turn. When you take a right turn, where are you faced?
The east. Right. When you go south.
When you come in to locate a Saba Cafe for those of a cup of coffee, you are advised to come and go southward, but just before you get right turn, where are you faced?
To the west.
The west. How?
if you are coming from the north, just as in this diagram, you take your right turn. You are going to the west.
Fine. The reason for that is because you are no longer entering from your
direction.
So you have moved. So you are now facing one direction, the southward. So your right will take you to the east. And not be static. Because the east was you coming from your position.
Yeah.
But now you've understood that you have moved away from that position.
Follow his own.
This one presents people means their way in map reading. Then another avoid the use of your eyes alone to follow the tracks. Because on every map there are different locations that your eyes will come across while they are tracking. So you may likely get distracted by some spots. But if you are doing finger pointing or using your pen to follow the directions of the audio, then you are safer. You are safer to locate the right places. So identify the north, south, east, and west. Identify the fact that you need to always be flexible. Follow where the audio says you should come in from, and that makes your position change. Then also be as fast as using your fingers or your pen to follow the directions. If you use your eyes alone, you get lost because map reading is usually very fast. Okay, now MCQs, multiple choice questions. This is all about those sections of your listening test that comes with or that come with ABCs. In listening tests, normally anyone would expect that the audio would only talk about the right answers and not talk about the wrong ones, right? But ironically, the audio will talk about all of them. So when you are fast to pick your answer because the audio has just started with A, you didn't realize that it will go through all. And you hear the information on the A and you pick it. By the time you try to complete writing A, you start hearing the information on the option B. The confusion will set in. And by the time it finishes the B, it will start talking about the option C. So at this point, you don't even know which one to pick. Now, the right thing to do is read the question. The question will be specific on what you should select as the right answer. For instance, question might say, when was it first founded? Maybe at some point it was discovered but it wasn't taken seriously. Then they forgot about it. Until maybe some foreigners found it again and then everyone took it seriously.
Just as they will tell us in the past, discovered in Niger, that we the indigenous have been making use of.
We didn't know about it. So, for you, you need to read the question to know the exact thing you are expected to pick as your answer. So, if it says when was it first founded, it is the first time that it wasn't taken seriously. As long as the information, the date is given, that's the right answer. You where it was first founded, but it wasn't really recognized then because the place wasn't developed. After a very long time, some, what do you call those guys that come in to make research? Now, bomb.
There is the first one.
The first.
It's just if we want to say the first Europeans to visit.
Not the Americans.
Not the British.
Not the British, right?
It is the Portuguese.
So
they came in 14th century. And they took the son of the Oba of Benin to that place, that man's school, after schooling. We say they are our colonial masters. And the name Lagos is a town, a city, their own location. That's why Lagos, we have Lagos today. That name is in the Portuguese, is a Portuguese description, not.
So that's the issue. So you need to listen attentively and choose the right answer. But in there are situations where the audio will say, pick any 3 correct answer from the list of options lettered A to E or A to G. Pick any 3 correct answer from the list of options lettered A. The third answer can be G. But if the instruction says pick 2 correct letters or 2 correct answers, pick the 2 correct answers from the list of options lettered A to D. That means the answer should come in order. You understand the difference? Yes, specifically. There's a difference. Pick 2 correct answers from the list of options lettered A to D. It means orderly arrangement. Any 3 correct answers from the list of options lettered A to G can be
scattered.
So that's how to go about this. Now let's look at section 3. Now section 3 is about group discussion. Group discussion right here talks about different things, but mostly on academic related issues. But sections 1 and 2 are usually about social life.
Social life, not on research.
Not on research.
I mean the second one is not on research.
On this guy?
Yeah.
No. Social life.
2 of them.
Yes. So, but sections 3 and 4 are always talking about academic related issues. So, section 3, for instance, this would talk about maybe students looking into a project they are to execute or present, or a survey or questionnaire they are to carry out, or it's about academia discussing a particular discovery or research or finding they want to go into. Now, what are the names of the discussants? These are the people that we're discussing in the course of the audio. Now, when the audio opens up, it may give their names. But if it doesn't give their names, then when the audio begins, when the 3 people begin to discuss, they would exchange pleasantries and address each other by the name. Hi, Jenny. Hello, Mara. Exchange pleasantries and give their names. But if the audio is to present them and their names, you will hear section 3, you will hear a group discussion between 3 students, Jane, Mary, and Pat, talking about their. Now, no answer would require you to give the name as an answer, no. But as we progress, you will see the need for this. You also get to hear about their issue of discussion, what they have gathered to talk about. So it's important. Then target audience. Who are they looking to make their presentations to? Or who are they looking to get their information from? Maybe they want to conduct a survey or questionnaire, they have a particular age limit or age bracket of people they would like to meet, because maybe those people are well exposed to give them the information they are seeking. So those people are their target audience. Now, where will they meet them? That's the location. Or where will they present whatever thing they are putting together? And what time is best to go there and meet such people? Right? Then, how many people should we interview? Quantity. How many people? Then, what led to the project we are doing? Why is it important? And what impact will it make in our project or in our final year exam? Now, individual view. The question might require you to identify what a particular person feels about someone or something as they're discussing. This is the names you got from the beginning will help you to identify who the person is. Then, unanimous view, collective idea, what they have collectively or unanimously agreed upon. Then solution, how will they present it at the end of the day, or how will they save it at the end of the day, or how will they carry out the whole thing at the end of the day. Now let's look at section 4. For section 4, you are expected to reserve enough energy for section 4, because most test takers get bored and tired out once they go through sections 1, 2, and 3. Whereas section 4 is giving you the questions back to back. Sometimes they run it from 31 to 40 without any stoppage. Whereas you might take on a listening test, they will run 31 to 35 and then take a pause. Then continue. There are some sections that there are some listening tests to be taken. After 31, it will announce to you before you hear the rest of the monologue. Please take some time to read questions 36 to 40 to be useful. While the ones that won't announce this information to you will just
from 31 to
take
40.
a pause, a long pause. In fact, sometimes you feel the audio is no longer playing, it's deliberate. They want you to go through the remaining questions before they continue. Then the third type of section 4 will be the one that runs it from 31 straight
Without a pause.
without any pause. Then how do you manage your 31 to 40? That's your section 4. Once you are done with your section 3, start reading from 36 to 40. Don't read the questions 31 to 40. I don't know if this is. Now, if you try to read the questions 31 to 40, by the time you get to 35, the audio will begin. And by the time the audio begins, you may not have time to realize or go through what is in 36 to 40. Now, what does this mean? By implication, you have no idea of what to meet in questions 36 to 40. Whereas, once you read from 31 to 40, as the audio begins, you still go back to 31 to catch up. But if you follow the strategy of reading 36 to 40 first, once you are reading from 36, by the time you get to the 40th question, the audio will begin, right? And you quickly go to 31. Now, there is a way to manage that because the audio sometimes gives long gists when it's between 31 to 35 and it's deliberate. That long gist is not meant to distract you. It's meant for you to buy time and also read the remaining questions. So if you are able to apply that approach, you'll be able to manage 31 to 40. But it requires you to reserve good energy because it can be long and sometimes tiring. Okay, so when you are treating 31 to 40, it's not a bad idea for you to scribble some possible answers on the question. You can scribble so that you'll be able to catch up with the pace of that last section. So these are everything you need to know about the sections of the listening test. It's an interesting one, but overall, I would want to advise that for you to do well in your listening test, you must give it your 101% concentration. 101% concentration. Please don't have anything short of this.
Even 100.
Not even 100. 101% concentration. People easily get distracted by themselves, not even the environment. Because you might be taking on a listening test, a business idea will just breeze into your mind, and you forget that you're taking the test. You start thinking about it.
In the example.
In the example, yes. Some people remember a very funny moment and they start smiling instead of concentrating.
In the example.
In the example.
That person is not serious.
By the time you recover, some answers must have gone. So that's why we need you to give it 101% concentration. Alright, so this is it about the listening test. Have one practice more, then we'll go into reading test.
But give me 5 minutes to copy this. Then after that,
We take
the break, you start counting the break.
All right.
Because I can't be copying this now.
As the
The
break.
break will be counted.
All right. All right, join us again in the next 30 minutes. We are actually taking a break just um, from in 5 minutes time we shall go into a 30-minute break, and when we return we shall take a listening test, and after the listening test we go into reading training. So please, if you are viewing from our YouTube platform, please hold on or still come back, drop the link to continue with. Thank you and see you shortly.